Okay, let me give it a minute here to have people join. And so thank you for all those who are joining me live and on the replay. We are going to talk about past lives and do an energy clearing. So I'm going to preface this first off by just saying that my purpose in doing this video, but all of my videos in general, is to share what I've learned and experienced, especially with my clients. So I'm here to answer questions perhaps you may not even realize that you've had. And more than anything at all is to really raise awareness of your own energy. So I'm just going to say, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. You take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but please do your own research. For the purposes of this discussion, there's only so much information that I'm going to be able to share on this particular topic. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them into the comments, and I will get to them as we move along. So first off, what is a past life? So a past life is a term that is applied to a lifetime that was lived before the lifetime that you're currently in. And this could be at any time period, any place on the planet, which means you could have been a different gender, you could have been a different race, a whole other different culture that that you lived in. Okay, so how is this even a possibility? Right. So for those who kind of question, is this even a real thing? And we're gonna talk about some evidence about this later on. But if you remember from school, there's the law of conservation of energy that basically talks about that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is either only transferred or transformed. Now, when I usually talk about this particular law from science that we learned in school, I usually use it in application to talking about spirits, ghosts. People kind of question that those even exist. So if you recall from my first live on boundaries, where I talked about that we're energy, let's say you lived in Egypt and you were a pharaoh or a queen, and you live your life, your body dies, then you incarnate again into another body, born into another time period and family. Okay, and we'll talk about, again, we're going to talk about some examples of this. But why does this even happen? What's the point of even coming back again and again? Now, a lot of the answers to the questions about past lives actually come from the pioneers of past life regression. So people like A.R. Martin, Dolores Cannon, and Brian Weiss. There's a number of different books that were published about the information that they received from thousands upon thousands of different sessions. And there are a lot of commonalities with the answers from all these people who don't even know each other or who are under hypnosis. Okay. And what now has transpired is all of that body of knowledge is taken and has become like, the esoteric like foundation for a lot of the questions that humans have had, forever. So one of the biggest things that I want you to understand about the purpose of reincarnation is that we came here to learn what it means to be human while still being an energetic being. Dolores Cannon stated that Earth is the one place in all of the universe that has two specific conditions, and that is emotion and limitation. So if you think about it, aren't we constantly trying to fight off our own limiting beliefs, our own self-sabotaging behaviors, and all the emotions too that we end up either holding onto, not releasing, and then it simply gets in our way? Okay, so that's also why you'll see a lot of people in the spiritual community refer to Earth as life school, or you'll see memes that are passed around on social media where it's like a running joke of people not wanting to come back to Earth as a volunteer. Okay, so let's say you came here to learn forgiveness or maybe even patience. Okay, it doesn't really matter what the lesson is ultimately. A lot of it has to boil down to understanding who we really are as this energetic being in a human form, and also being able to give and receive unconditional love. So even though that can sound a little bit like a woo-woo type of platitude, it really isn't, because most people find unconditional love a very difficult concept to even grasp, much less to even implement. So thank you for those who are, for those of you who are joining now. We're kind of talking here about, when we come here to Earth, talking about incarnation. So let's kind of go to the beginning. So let's say you come here to Earth, right? You're spirit being, you take on human form, born as a baby, right? You essentially have amnesia. So what do I mean by that? You don't have this consciousness necessarily that you're this energetic being in a human body. But now you're in the hands of your human parents who have the job of raising you. Now, for those of you who have small children or who've had children, it's really interesting if you've watched them when they're really small and how they do things, perceive things. And you can kind of see their, what people like to term their innocence. I don't necessarily view it as innocence in that they haven't been exposed to certain things. I kind of view their innocent energy as one of the things that shows or demonstrates that they're actually more closer to their infinite self before all the conditioning happened. So now when parenting kicks in, all that conditioning kicks in, schooling, socialization, now children kind of figure out, oh, well, I have to create a particular version of myself in order to fit into the rest of society. And then as you get older, now you're dealing with more challenges, other life events, you're beginning to recognize, oh, wait, I need to correct something or fix something, or someone points out you have to correct something or fix something. Now you move into adulthood and you have, some emotional baggage, you have major life decisions to make. And then now you're beginning to see or question, okay, what is it that I'm really doing with my life? Or what is my purpose? Or why aren't things turning out the way that I was told that they were going to turn out when I was younger and in school, right? So we have all of this particular conditioning. And so when you're an adult now and you start to question things, you might end up going to therapy. You might start doing some self-help. All of these different things, are great, but still sometimes people will figure out there's still something else that's missing. There's still some questions that can't be answered. So when I say that you came here with amnesia, what that really means is that you didn't come here to cheat on the life school exam. Okay, because if you came here knowing, oh yeah, everything is about unconditional love and that's what I need to show, and that we don't have limitations, and emotions are simply just visitors that come and go, then you probably breeze through life, right? So the learning then wouldn't be taking place. Now, that's the whole purpose, though, of experiencing a spiritual awakening, right? You hear about people waking up or experiencing an awakening. That's the whole purpose of when they say that, it's waking up from that amnesia, that you're a limited, just human being, and then this is all that there is. And usually with an awakening, there's a catalyst or an event that usually triggers that. So for me, it was leaving a religious cult and going through divorce all at the same time. And, and then starting my life over in my early to mid 30s. Okay. So other people, it could be the death of a loved one. It could be an illness. It could be understanding, oh, wait a second, I took this corporate job, but now I want to become an artist. Right? So there's different things that can actually trigger a person's awakening where they end up questioning their life and the decisions that they've made. So here you are, you're going through your growth and your healing. You probably don't feel like the same person now, right? You're looking at everything, wondering why are things happening the way they are? And if you're actually becoming really, really conscious, you might ask yourself the question, what is this actually teaching me? Okay. And if you manage to figure out some of those answers before you transition, what I mean by transition, before you pass on, then you won't necessarily have to come back and incarnate to learn that specific lesson. You would be moving on to something different. Okay, so that's kind of the process then, lifetime to lifetime. It really doesn't matter the experiences that you have. It's all more about the lessons that are being taught that you came here specifically for. Okay, so this brings me now to karma. Okay, and I'm going to put this really simply in terms of universal principles. Okay, because it's really just the universe's way of achieving balance. Okay, pure and simple. In the Hindu religion, and this is from what I have read, there are 3 different types of karma: past karma, present karma, and future karma. All of those actually relate to the habits that you take from the past and bring them forward. Okay, so habits, if you think of habits, it's really, when I hear that word, that really tells me it's more of like an unconscious type of energy. So imagine like you're taking your unconsciousness from lifetime to lifetime about how you think, feel, and behave, and you're repeating cycles of things from lifetime to lifetime. Okay, that's really what that is. And so I have seen where just even raising awareness of a particular pattern can actually be enough to release karma. Okay, it could be just a sudden awakening. You have a shift or up level in your consciousness, which basically all that really means is that you've expanded yourself, your energy, to realize, oh, wait, I don't need to do that anymore, or that's not mine. And you can shift. And now you're changed permanently. Other times it does require a little bit more work. So the thing is, and the thing is, I see this a lot in my sessions. And when it comes to karma, I don't necessarily like to view it solely as like payback or retribution, which kind of is the way that people tend to feel it or use it when they're talking about karma. It's really more of the ultimate way of experiencing empathy. Okay, and I say this because if you happen to experience all sides of a particular situation, it doesn't matter what it is, then in the different lifetimes that you experience the situations in, so whether you're a victim one lifetime, you're an abuser the next, you could be a third person who was involved in that situation in the third lifetime, it really doesn't matter. But when you experience all those things from a particular perspective, all those different perspectives, then now that brings you closer to unconditional love. Okay, so that is the reason why people will end up repeating things, because you're actually fully grasping all sides of a situation. So what are some indications then that you have had previous lives? So let me ask you a few questions and you can ponder these. Are you drawn to or averse to a particular place, region, country, or time period? Okay, so maybe going to a specific place actually gives you a physical reaction. Maybe you're watching something on the History Channel and you have this physical reaction to something that you're watching. That could be an indication that you lived during that time in history. Do you have unexplained phobias or fears? I thought that I used to have this fear of heights, which really didn't make sense because I love to go on roller coasters and things like that, do theme park rides. I figured out after a past life regression that it's more the angle, because in a previous life I jumped off a bridge. And it's really interesting because I have a thing for running over bridges. That's a thing that I'm drawn to. Do you get deja vu, or have you gone someplace and felt like you've been there before? Do you have birthmarks? Birthmarks are an indication oftentimes of how you actually died in a previous life. And have you tried something new, a particular activity, and felt like you've done it many, many times before, like you're a natural at something? And are you in a relationship with someone and you just felt like you knew, and it doesn't matter, it could be, romantic or non-romantic relationship. Do you feel like you've known them before? Okay, or do you have this unexplainable connection with somebody? Okay, so you can ponder over those questions. You know, I'm going to tell you in all my experiences with clients, you know, just about everyone that I've had sessions with, they all have had past lives that have come up in their clearings. You can also work with a past life regressionist or hypnotherapist. You could also do your own self past life regression. Dr. Brian Weiss has, he sells a recording that you can follow along and do your own. I have done both and have gotten a lot of really great insight from doing both. Okay. Now, I will tell you this, if you've never done a past life regression, have someone on the ready that you can talk to, or work with someone who you really trust. So that way, if you get information that might be a bit traumatic to you just because of what you saw, then you have someone who can help you process that information and be able to help you see the relevance of that information in your current lifetime. Okay, because my current belief is nothing's going to come up for you unless you actually need that information now. Okay, so let me give you two examples of past life regressions and a couple other things that I want to say about timelines, and then we'll get into an energy clearing. So first example, and you can look these up. I mean, this stuff, like these different accounts are everywhere. Arthur Flowerdew, he grew up with visions of a city he'd never seen in a desert with a temple carved into a cliff. He was watching a BBC documentary and recognized the city of Petra in Jordan. So he actually decided to go with a film crew and archaeologists, and he was able to point out landmarks that he had never been to before, even places that he ended up excavating. And then he passed by a guard station where he was at, and immediately he knew that that's where he was killed with a spear. Okay, the second example, and this is from a child. Now, I particularly find accounts where children are experiencing past lives to be the most compelling, because they wouldn't know the history. They wouldn't know the things unless someone had actually told them. Okay, so this one example, when Simi Tutusmas's mother was pregnant with him, she had a dream of a man who had a bloody face, and his name was Salim Fezli. A man by that name died of a gunshot to his face and right ear in a neighboring Turkish village 1 year before her son was born. As soon as Semi could talk, he informed his mom that his real name was Salim Fezli. At age 4, he walked to Salim's house and told his widow, "I am Salim, you are my wife, Katibe." And he listed the names of their children, details of their life together, and even recalled the name of his own killer. So quite compelling evidence. There's so many examples, especially with children, that if you read up on them, it would be pretty convincing. Okay, and a lot of these children too have past lives. They undergo studies a lot with different psychologists who do a lot of past life regression, and they're able to determine if it really is a true past life situation or not. So again, like I said, when I work with clients and I'm preparing for their clearings, a lot of times, not every single time, but a lot of times I'll get images, sometimes physical sensations and things of a past life. I'll simply write it down. And a lot of times I'll ask questions, in the session of like, do you have this particular fear? The past lives that do come up tend to correspond to the things that I'm actually clearing with my client, which again tells me that it's something that's ready to be acknowledged and then released. So the last thing that I want to say about past lives, I tend to kind of prefer the term alternate lives, but past lives is something that people tend to be more familiar with. But the reason why I say alternate lives is because in quantum physics, there is no time. everything is actually happening. So past, present, future is all happening simultaneously. And so when you carry all that unconscious energy and you begin to heal layer by layer, you're actually healing past and future also, including all of the people who are involved. So every time you increase your level of consciousness through healing, you create a ripple effect around you that crosses dimensions and space. Okay. And so I just want you to know that you're choosing to heal anything right now in this lifetime is a way bigger deal than you even know. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So any inner work that you're doing, keep doing it, because that's the whole point. And we're in a really pivotal time in history right now where it's even more important than ever to work on your own healing. So let's get into a clearing. Okay, and if you haven't, so thank you for all those who are joining me now. If you haven't done a clearing with me yet, just follow along. I'm going to be really explicit about the guided visualization around your energetic field and your chakras. And I'm going to be telling you exactly what we're clearing. Okay, there's a couple things that showed up here. So if it resonates with you, feel free to comment. Or if you have questions, feel free to put that into, I should be able to see them as they show up. Okay, so, all right, so I want you to go ahead and get comfortable in your seat and relax your shoulders, your neck, and your jaw. Easy breath in and out, getting centered in your seat. And I want you to imagine from your tailbone, so at the end of your spine, you're sending a grounding cord down into the center of the earth. The grounding cord can be as big as a softball, but as wide as your hips, whichever is more comfortable for you at this time. You're going to send that grounding cord down into the center of the earth, and you'll see, sense, and feel when you get there, either a warmth, light, or higher vibration, or it feels like it can't go any further. Good. Then from the bottoms of your feet, I want you to go ahead and send those tree roots down into the earth. And I say tree roots just because they're super wide and substantial. You're spreading these out 200 to 300 miles into the earth, wrapping around the sides of the earth, and then absorbing the earth's energy, coming up through the bottoms of your feet, coming up past your ankles, your calves, upper thighs, hips, meeting at the grounding cord and circling back down. Good. And then I want you to go to your root chakra. So this is the energy center that sits right at the perineal area, lower bladder. Okay. And I want you to imagine like you're an onion, the center of an onion, and you know how an onion has different layers? I want you to go out to the 30th layer here, please. And just imagine like you're pulling that 30th layer into the center and send it down. That's going down the grounding cord. What we're clearing here are any anxieties, fears, worries, things that keep you up at night, and that's going down the grounding cord. And I want you to bring your awareness way above the crown of your head. Imagine that you know where the center of the universe is. You're pulling that universal energy down. And you're going to meet up with what's called a stack of creative rings. It almost looks like a bunch of wedding bands piled one on top of the other. These rings represent your goals, dreams, desires, intentions, the things that you came here to create. So that universal energy is recalibrating those dreams, goals, intentions to your highest and best interests. And now we come down to the crown chakra, a couple inches above your head. Go out to the 3rd layer, please. We're going to pull that into the center. We're going to clear needing permission to let go of unresolved patterns from past lives or alternate lives. Pulling that into the center and release. So that energy, you can see, sense, and feel as it goes down your spine, otherwise known as the pranic channel, down into the grounding cord. Go down to your third eye, please. We're in the center of your head. This is the 6th chakra. Go out to the 3rd layer. We're going to clear power struggles. So what I mean by this is you might be in a relationship right now where it's almost like you're like headbutting each other all the time with who's right, who's got the better plan, the better ideas, trying to convince the other person of something else. Okay, so it's almost like a meeting of the minds kind of thing. Pull that into the center. That's big energy. Pull this to the center and then drop it down. Good. And 3rd layer again at the 3rd eye. Expand this. We're going to clear a couple thoughts, beliefs, such as I can't be successful. I can't be wealthy. I don't deserve it. I'm not beautiful or attractive enough. I'm not intelligent enough, or I don't have the know-how. Okay, I actually kind of feel, so let's pull that in first, and I'm going to continue talking. Pull that in. You're going to send that down. There's someone, I don't know if you're watching now or if this is on the replay. There's someone here who's extremely, I almost want to say genius level. I want you to know that there isn't anything wrong with you, and the things that you see, the things that you're coming up with in your head, you should pursue those. So whoever that is, you're in a particularly different state of consciousness than most people. So now we're going to go down the throat. We're behind the spine here as the energy comes down the back. Go out to the 3rd layer. We're going to clear the fear of speaking up or speaking your truth. Let's pull that in to the center and release, sending that down. Because think about it. In the past, a lot of people were killed at the throat area, strangled, guillotine, having their throat slit. And, I'm not trying to get super graphic, but if you really think about it, this was a major way that people were killed in the past. So you might be afraid of speaking your truth because you're afraid of dying. So see if that resonates with you. We're going to go down to the heart now, behind your back, between your shoulder blades. Pull in the 3rd layer. We're going to release some guilt. Let's send that down. For some of you, you don't want to put your family in danger. That's something I just got. You don't want to put other people in danger. You feel guilty about that. 3rd layer again at the heart. Let's pull in some self-judgment. So pulling this into the center and down. So whatever that might come up for you here when you hear self-judgment, that's what's ready to be released. For some of you, you need to let go of some past mistakes. Okay, so don't hold on to that. Now we're going to go down to the solar plexus. Behind the stomach, go out to the 3rd layer. We're going to clear the fear of being controlled. So let's pull that in. For some of you, you have some past lives where like you lived like under a tyrant, whether that was a spouse. For some of you, it was the time period that you were in with the people who were governing over where you lived. You lived under something really tyrannical. So pulling that in and then down. So it's almost like there's still a fear of just being lorded over, where you feel like you don't have enough freedom or ability to use your free will. And let's go out to the 15th layer at that solar plexus, stomach area, please. We're going to clear any blocks about stepping into your power. So pulling that 15th layer into the center and down. I'm going to have another live about what it really means to step into your power. But let's just go ahead and start clearing that now, paving the way for that. Go down to your sacral area now. So we're in between the navel and hips. The sacral area is really, this is where thoughts become things. Okay. I don't know how else to say that at this time, particularly when it comes to the law of attraction. But let's pull in that second layer, holding on to anger at betrayal. So when we hold on to a lot of really heavy, dense emotions here, it can block our creations. For women, I've seen it where they become, they have difficulty getting pregnant because they're holding on to too much. So pulling in that second layer and down. So the betrayal could be on any magnitude. It doesn't have to be like someone cheating on you. It could be someone taking something from you, someone just not, you know, you could view betrayal as like not being supported in some way. Go down to your root chakra again. So back at the perineal area, expand the third layer, please. We're going to pull in some fears. So fear of death, fear of illness. There's someone here who's died from polio before. Interesting. Okay. Fear of not pleasing others, fear of not having enough to survive, fear of not being loved, fear of lack of support, fear of ostracism. So like being pushed out, being isolated, and away from other people. So pulling all of that in, big energy here to the center, and then you're going to release. Really good. Good. So now we have universal energy and earth's energy mixing at the root, coming up the front of the spine, coming past that sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, creative rings, and like paint over a balloon, that energy is going to come up and over your aura, immersing through all the layers of your field, coming down past your legs and then attaching at the grounding cord below your feet. Good. So now let's take care of that circle of reciprocity. So let's take the energies of the heart, throat, third eye, crown, and rings. That's compressing, and it goes through the right shoulder and into the right arm. This is your masculine, the giving, doing side, the achieving side. Breathe through the right forearm, please. Right wrist, fingertips together like you're holding a softball. That energy is going to move from the right fingertips and palm over to the left side. And then it's coming up the left arm. Really breathe through the entire left arm. This is the side that we receive or open to blessings and anything else good that's coming our way. So that's moving up the left arm through the left shoulder, dropping down into the chest, wrapping around the front and back of the heart, and coming up front and back of the throat, up front and back of the third eye, through the crown, rings, and up and over the field. Good. All right, so let's get rid of some cords. Okay, we have 5 at the root. So what I want you to imagine is that you're taking a plug out of the wall socket. We're not cutting, we're not leaving any residual energy. You are simply unplugging and sending it back to whoever it belongs to. You don't always necessarily have to know who they belong to, but you might have an idea. So see, sense, and feel around the root chakra, deplug, and send it back. So you could do all 5 at the same time or one at a time, completely up to you. But we do have a couple more cords. Go up to the solar plexus, please. There's 2 here. See, sense, and feel around the stomach area. And deplug, send it back. We have one more. So one at the third eye. Someone might actually be kind of like either wondering what you're doing. They want you to think, believe a certain way. So see, sense, and feel, deplug, and send it back. Excellent. Good job. If you have questions on that, feel free to ask, or you can message me, or if you feel like you needed assistance with cords, feel free to message me. I'm going to do 2 vibrational check-ins right now. Feel free to stay, because if you feel like it can apply to you too, you can release these things also. Okay. And, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, see if anyone else, is curious about past lives and things like that, or would you think would enjoy the clearing. So first we're going to do this for Grace. Interesting, Grace. I picked up on something from the late 1800s with you. It was fascinating because you worked for a man. So you're female in this lifetime too. You worked for a man. He was creating something and there was something he was missing. He couldn't get something to work. What's interesting, I mean, you're super intelligent still. So you figured it out. He basically took that intellectual property from you and was able to make money, and he kind of left you in the lurch. It was almost like he and he kind of gave you like, like coins, really. Like it wasn't enough for what it was that you did for him. But the thing was, you didn't stand up for yourself. You received a very small compensation in comparison to what he was able to get. So I want you to go to your crown, third layer, clear needing permission to own yourself, right? And that includes your intellectual property. So pulling in that third layer and then release. Okay, and then I want you to go to your third eye, third layer. I want you to clear a couple things here. So things like, I'm not special, my work is worthless, and men have the power, not women. That's obviously not true. So pulling that in and then releasing. And then going down to your throat, second layer, I want you to pull that in. There's anger here for you silencing yourself. So for any woman who is watching this, if you are silencing yourself, pull that in, release. Your heart's okay. Grace, go to the solar plexus, third layer. Let's clear that lack of confidence, pulling that in and release. Yes, Lorraine, you can, and I will message you and we'll do yours separately. Okay, so sacral, Grace, go out to the second layer. Let's clear anger at your boundaries being violated. Okay, very, very common thing that I see with both men and women, more so with women. Let's pull in that second layer and down. Good. And then go down to your root, third layer. Grace, expand it, please. Let's clear the fear of being taken advantage of, fear of loss, and then fear of not feeling safe. So pull that in and then release. Good. So Grace, let me know. You can message me. Let me know if this resonates with you. You just don't want to be giving more power away than like you have been in the past. Okay. Second vibrational check-in. This is for Jennifer. So interesting with yours. I picked up, I want to say this was like 90, 100 years ago, like right after the spiritualist movement. I felt like you were using spiritual gifts kind of on like underground, right? Like you were trying to really fly under the radar. I feel like you sold, like what I saw was a shop and you sold things, but like you kind of picked and chose who you would help. Like if people would get into conversations with you, then it was like, let's meet at another time and I can help you with something. I also feel like you have mediumship capabilities, Jennifer, because this was something that was really, that I picked up strongly on in this particular lifetime. So you basically kind of stayed to yourself. You stayed alone like this entire lifetime that I'm talking about. You didn't really venture out either. So this whole thing we're going to clear around is really more about being able to feel comfortable, like being fully seen, fully heard. So go to your crown, third layer. We're going to clear permission to step into your power. So pulling that in and then down. I know this was kind of mentioned earlier in the clearing of the solar plexus, but the crown is all about your personal sovereignty, okay? Which I'm a really big proponent of, by the way. So going down to your third eye, expanding the third layer. Yes, Jenny, so I will go ahead and just make the donation, and then I'm going to set something up with you separately, okay? So, all right, so Jen, third eye, third layer, let's clear that fear of being seen, and then drop that down. And then third layer again. So this is where, you know, like you feel like the majority of people, like there's this belief, the majority of people are going to reject me. The world isn't safe. So let's pull that into and down. Yeah, I feel like there's something about that, the safety part for you, that might still, it feels still like applicable in this lifetime. Going down to your throat, third layer, fear of being heard. So pulling that in. I'm curious if you, because I know that you're in a different country right now, I'm curious if you feel something in your throat at times, because I feel like I'm feeling something right now too. So pulling that in and then down. And good. All right, so heart, self-judgment here. And this is, it's really a dichotomous feeling that I get here. So pull in that third layer, because it's like, you know what you're capable of, you know what you do, but there's something about like, because other people could view it as quote unquote wrong or just not the ultimate way. I feel like there's almost a feeling of like having to justify what you do or the things that you pick up on, like a sense of needing to defend it before someone attacks it. Does that make sense? So it's going to pull that in and then down. Good. And solar plexus is fine for you, Jennifer. Sacral, second layer, let's pull that in. So anchor at society. It's almost like just you're angry at just how things have been set up. So pull that in and then down. And then at the root, third layer. So again, fear of safety, fear of not being accepted, fear of lack of support. And then this last one, very interesting, fear of annihilation. That doesn't come up very often with clients. Let's pull that in and down. Good. So let me know how that feels for you. Jennifer, you can message me later. Let me know if that resonates with that particular past life. And thank you everyone for being here today. Jenny, Lorraine, I will message you separately here once I end the broadcast. And again, if there's anyone that you know of who would enjoy the clearing, like, share, subscribe. And I will see you next time. I will have something real special next week for everyone. So stay tuned, keep up on my posts so you know what's coming, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.